serpents on the planet, from modern-day giants to the largest serpent to slither on the planet. But first, let's meet a snake whose size made it the stuff of legend. Number 10. The Yerlunger. Growing to around 20 feet long, these snakes from down under may not have been the largest in history. They are definitely one of the oldest, believed to have slithered in the primeval forests of Australia around 23 million years ago. The Yerlunger was believed to have been an apex predator that regularly hunted and ate other megafauna that inhabited Australia at the time. Also called the rainbow serpent, these bad boys were huge, growing up to 20 feet long and almost a foot thick. And because they were primitive snakes, they looked more like monitor lizards rather than the snakes that we know today. Minus the legs, of course. Yerlunger was a constrictor, which meant it coiled around its prey and squeezed it to death. The Yerlunger stands out because its fossilized skull is perhaps the most preserved snake skull to have ever been found. This skull came from a freshwater area, suggesting that the Yerlunger may have lurked in the water while hunting its prey. Number 9. The Indian rock python. The largest Indian rock python ever recorded was measured at around 20 feet, which definitely makes it one of the biggest snakes ever. But on average, they grow to a more manageable length of between 12 to 14 feet. Still, large enough to make me feel really uncomfortable around them though. They can also tip the scales at 200 pounds. Hailing from the forests of Nepal, India, Sri Lanka, and Pakistan, this giant snake can often be found in rocky foothills, river valleys, and scrubland where they prefer living the solitary life, only seeking out others come mating time. An ambush hunter, it often drapes itself over branches or coils up on the ground, waiting to ambush prey. You can usually see these guys near water and areas that offer plenty of cover. Unlike many other snakes, the Indian rock python is a very zealous mother. She lays anywhere from 20 to 100 eggs about 3 months after mating. When she's done laying, she curls herself around her brood to protect them for the 2 to 3 months it takes for them to hatch. The babies hatch fully formed from their leathery eggs and leave the nest almost immediately to strike out on their own. Number 8. The Wonambi. Like the Yerlunger, the Wonambi was another giant snake of Australian legend. In fact, it's kinda like ancient Australia's version of the boogeyman. Living at the same time as these giant snakes were Aboriginal people, who warned their children not to go near watering holes alone as the Wonambi might eat them. A sound advice, actually, given the Wonambi's 20-foot long length, made it capable of swallowing a medium-sized child whole. It was a constrictor, which meant it wrapped itself around its prey and tightened its grip so that its prey couldn't breathe. Others say that the pressure of the snake squeezing the chest actually causes cardiac arrest. No matter how exactly the prey dies, death still comes quickly, and as anyone who's ever been on the wrong side of a large python will tell you, there is not a lot you could do to stop it. Despite its killing efficiency, Wonambi could probably not tackle larger animals due to the relatively small size of its skull. In addition, its jaw is also not thought to have been capable of being fully disarticulated, like in some snakes that we see today. These restrictions mean that even the larger examples of Wonambi would have had to choose their prey carefully. Number 7. The Burmese python. Burmese pythons are capable of reaching 23 feet or more in length and weigh up to 200 pounds. That's heavier than me. They can also be as round as a telephone pole, so these snakes aren't only long, they're thick. And yes, that's thick with 2 C's. Young pythons will spend most of their time in the trees. However, as they mature and their size and weight make tree climbing rather difficult, they transition to mainly ground dwelling. They are also excellent swimmers and can stay submerged for up to 30 minutes before surfacing for air. They are carnivores, because of course they are, surviving primarily on small mammals and birds. Although they have poor eyesight, they stalk prey using chemical receptors in their tongues and heat sensors along their jaws. They are constrictors, grasping a victim with their sharp teeth, coiling their bodies around the animal, and squeezing until it suffocates. It also doesn't matter how large the prey is, they have stretchy ligaments in their jaws that allow them to swallow their prey whole. Number 6. The African rock python. Native to sub-Saharan Africa, the African rock python is greatly feared by locals. Quite understandable because, although they average around 11 to 13 feet in length, the largest of them could grow upwards of 25 feet in length. But the fact is, these giant snakes are quite mellow most of the time, and attacks on humans are rarer than hen's teeth. African rock pythons have a thick body covered with colored blotches, often joining up in a broad, irregular stripe. Like all pythons, its scales are small and smooth. Those around the lips possess heat-sensitive pits, which are used to detect warm-blooded prey in low to zero light conditions. Pythons also possess 2 functioning lungs, unlike more modern snakes, which have only 1, and also have small, visible pelvic spurs, believed to be the remnants of hind limbs, which harkens back to the days when snakes still crawled around on legs. Number 5. Amethystine Python. Amethystine pythons aren't known for their size. In fact, they only average to around 16.5 feet long. However, a few exceptional specimens found measured a whopping 28 feet long, which, in my opinion, warrants their inclusion into this list. This species can be found in the tropical rainforests and scrub forests of Indonesia, Papua New Guinea, Australia, and the Philippines. For its length, it's quite slender and not able to kill the large animals that other snakes on this list can. It is a dull olive brown or greenish yellow in color, but the scales have an overall amethyst iridescence, which produces an attractive shimmering effect, especially in sunlight, making it one of the most beautiful snakes you'll ever see. Like most large pythons, amethystines feed on a large variety of small mammals such as fruit bats, rats, and possums. They will also eat small and medium-sized birds, and occasionally even large lizards such as monitors. Number 4. The green anaconda. South America's green anaconda is, pound for pound, the largest snake in the world. Its cousin, the reticulated python, can reach slightly longer lengths, but the hefty girth of the anaconda makes it almost 2 times as heavy. Green anacondas can grow to more than 29 feet long, weigh more than 550 pounds, and measure more than 12 inches in diameter. They reach their epic sizes on a diet of wild pigs, deer, birds, turtles, capybara, caimans, and even jaguars, and if you believe the stories, the occasional human. Anacondas are non-venomous constrictors, coiling their muscular bodies around captured prey and squeezing until the animal asphyxiates. Jaws attached by stretchy ligaments allow them to swallow their prey whole, and they can go weeks or months without food after a big meal. These guys might be the biggest snakes today, but they were far from being the biggest ever. Fortunately, any snake bigger than the green anaconda winters that happened in 2019. But what kind of snake is it? Find out more next. Number 3. The reticulated python. Often regarded as the longest living snake in the world, reticulated pythons have been measured to reach up to 33 feet long. These large snakes are extremely slow movers, but they can still strike at surprising speeds. Their coloration and patterns are designed to allow the snake to blend into the leaf litter of the forest floor, where they lie in wait for unsuspecting prey. They are usually found near water amongst rainforest or woodland. Small snakes will spend a large amount of time off the ground in trees and shrubs for safety, while large adults are mostly restricted to the ground, too big and too sluggish to hoist themselves into trees. They will retreat into crevices and caves after feeding, an activity that mostly takes place at night. They have a reputation for being extremely aggressive and will not hesitate to defend themselves by raising their heads off the ground, hissing loudly and, if further harassed, striking repeatedly at the threat. Large reticulated pythons normally eat mammals and birds, with items as large as deer and pigs being readily taken and, as always, swallowed whole. Unfortunately, they aren't very fast movers, so many reticulated pythons, as well as other animals, were burnt to a crisp as they tried to escape the flames of the Indonesian wildfire. Number 2. The Gigantophis. A giant snake that has long gone extinct, Gigantophis was once regarded as the largest known snake, a title that has since been given to the next entry on our list. But still, even at the lower estimate of just over 33 feet long, Gigantophis is still bigger than any of the other previous snakes on this list. It lived approximately 40 million years ago in the southern Sahara, where Egypt and Algeria are today. Like with other huge prehistoric snakes, Gigantophis was a constrictor that squeezed the life out of its prey. It could have used its size to tackle almost any moderately sized prey, although it has been suggested that Gigantophis preyed upon smaller proboscideans, tiny mammals which would later evolve into, and I find this hard to believe myself, modern-day elephants. The giant snake also ate crocodiles and other large reptiles. It would largely be an aquatic snake hiding underwater until it was time to strike, very similar to how modern-day boas and pythons behave. However, it was related to neither of those two snake families. Instead, the Titanoboa. At nearly 50 feet long, weighing in at over 2,500 pounds, and with a diameter of 3 feet at the thickest, Titanoboa is the undisputed heavyweight champion of the snake world. It was 10 times as heavy as the average green anaconda, making it the biggest snake to ever slither on Earth. Titanoboa was so big, it pushed the boundaries of being able to exist on land and still follow the laws of physics. What do I mean? Let me explain. You, me, every cat and antelope and every other creature that inhabits the Earth, we've all evolved under the constraints of gravity. Evolution got a bit carried away and produced the 100-foot blue whale, the biggest creature ever, only because gravity doesn't affect giants as much in the sea. Scientists think that Titanoboa must have also exploited this kind of simulated weightlessness. It was so oversized that, according to paleontologist David Pauly, quote, almost certainly it would have spent a large part of its time in water, end quote, which, in turn, allowed it to grow to titanic proportions. See you guys next time.